חיים.
beaucoup de chance.
Valeurs niées par le terroriste de Trèbes. Valeurs niées par le meurtrier de Mireille Knoll, qui a assassiné une femme innocente et vulnérable parce qu'elle était juive, et qui ainsi a profané nos valeurs sacrées et notre mémoire.
Good evening. My name is Mirielle Knoll. I was born and raised in Paris until I was 7. Then we moved with my mother, my sisters, and I to Israel, which called Aliyah. We didn't escape anything when we moved 20 years ago. My mother wanted to offer us a better future, and moving to Israel was her way to do that. My father, my grandmother, and uncles stayed in their homes, lived their lives in Paris. They always felt home, and why should them? When I was coming to visit, I was the one who didn't feel at home. In Israel, we had my mother's parents who lived in Tel Aviv. The Aliyah was extremely difficult. The language was like Hebrew to me. The children were mean, and the weather was hot. Despite all that, I grew up in Israel and went through high school, the army, and university, and made this country my home. I had served for 10 years in the Israeli Defense Forces as a captain, part of the intelligence corps. I had earned my master's in social science. I had a great husband and 2 beautiful kids. Yahel, the oldest, is 3 years old, and Ziv, our little princess, is 1 year old. Today I'm working as a project manager at Dell EMC, Israel branch. Why am I telling you all of this? Because in March 23 this year, my life had turned upside down. My grandmother, 85 years old, Mireille Knoll, was a victim of Judophobia in her own house in Paris. The killer was her neighbor she knew well almost all of his life, who became a radical Islamist while being in French prison. Only a few days after he released from prison, he came to visit her, stabbed her 11 times, and burned her in her apartment while screaming, Allahu Akbar. Exactly 1 year before, same neighborhood, nearly similar attack had happened. A grandma, a Jew, 64 years old, Sarah Halimi, was murdered, beaten to death in her own apartment by her neighbor. He screamed, Allahu Akbar, and threw her off the window while police forces waited for orders behind her door. I must tell you that I'm confused, and I am so upset. I've been invited here today to talk about my grandma. Unfortunately, I found myself thinking about other stories that my family have been through over the years only because we're Jewish. In 1941, my grandfather had been prisoner and survived 4 years in Birkenau. In 1942, my grandmother survived the winter velodrome raft in Paris. In 1976, my grandmother survived the Entebbe operation. In 2018, my grandmother did not survive her killer in Paris. What does it all mean? That we are survivors, right, because we are Jews? Is that our verdict? Why can't we just live? Why do we need to receive guidelines while traveling overseas for protection, such as to change our appearance, to take off the kippah, whisper our language because it is not safe for us? Why isn't it safe for us? What should I tell my children? I am not a religious, but I do believe in people. I'm raising my kids to be good. I'm teaching them tolerance, respect, free love, to listen, to talk, and to accept others. They are our future, and I hope they will make this world a better place, a safer one, without knowing what it means to survive. 2 months ago in Paris, I met the Prime Minister of France, Mr. Edouard Philippe. My father told him that his daughters are living in Israel, which is a country in war, and feel safer than if we were in France. I stopped my father instantly, and I told the Prime Minister that Israel is not a country in war. Trust me, I know. Israel is a country with a lot of enemies. We know them, we know what they're capable of, and we are doing everything to protect ourselves, our citizens. And if we need to fight for protection, we will. Why aren't you protecting your citizens? My grandmother, Mireille, was the only grandparent we had in Paris. We used to see her at least twice a week. She used to take us to the Luxembourg Garden to eat ice cream, to the movies. She loved traveling, theaters, The Bold and the Beautiful, all of the 7,000 episodes. To go out, eat in restaurants, to dance, Mike Brandt, and us. My grandma spoke 5 languages, loved to live and loved life. She loved people, didn't believe in bad, and was naive. Her life was caught in terrible circumstances, and now I need to live with that for the rest of my life. When all this happened, I was so shocked I couldn't talk. I couldn't bring myself to interview and to tell her story. My sister did that for all of us. Today, I feel that it's my duty to stand here in front of you all to tell you to wake up. The world is changing. People need hope. We need to be guided. We need protection. We need to feel safe and free to walk on the street or just be in our own home, no matter the country you live in. I am proud to be here. I am proud to be my grandma's granddaughter, and I am proud to be Jewish. My goodbye to my beloved grandma started in Paris with 30,000 people who walked together in behalf of her memory, continued in the march of living in Poland from Auschwitz to Birkenau, next to the Israeli president in my army uniforms. And now I'm standing here and urging you all, walk with me. With or without your assistance, I will continue to fight. For me, for my children, for my country, for what is right. I will continue to survive, demanding from you all to do your best and make this world a better place. So you, your parents, your grandparents, your children will never have to deal with what my family and I are forced to go through. Thank you.